All right, Shalom Israel, giving all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakak Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. You know, we continue to exalt those names. Yahweh, He is to be, His Son Yahweh Shai, He that delivers. We always say in the Holy Spirit, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakak Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, great millstone. My salutation to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect most high will, to the hopeful extended elect Shalom. Just getting right into it, man. You know, there's an order that the Most High set up. There's a reason why. There's a fashion of things set up, even with, you know, the common things on the earth. You know, even with Esau, like his school system. You know, in school you have what you call freshmen. I mean, and you heard Elder Manata Zagba talk about this. You know, the fresh Israelites come in, you know, disregarding the foundation of the truth, you know, where it came from, you know, changing the doctrine, you know, seeing scriptures that fit how they want to see it, how they want to break it down, you know, not giving honor to the you know, the fact that they were taught by somebody, or you know, the form of the truth itself they were taught. It says freshman is a newcomer or a novice, especially someone newly elected to Congress, a newcomer. You know, they're also considered as proselytes in scriptures. You know, and then you know, through this, you got the next is sophomore, second year college or high school student, or a high school student. And you know, even in school, I remember like the freshmen's, like you know, the seniors would get all. Everybody wanted to be a senior. You know, sophomore. You know, when you reach that level, you know, start getting more kind of recognition. You get more girls. You know, but everybody wanted to be a senior. You know, and they got, you know, the most girls. They got, you know, they were getting into their um, getting into being close to graduating overall that high school uh, tread, so to speak. You know, um, I remember I was a freshman. I was only, you know, 14 years old, and I had a cousin that was, you know, he was right above me when I became a sophomore. I was a freshman. He was a sophomore, and he was more popular, of course. And I think he was already sort of popular in school because he already been there a year before me, and you know, I was the little cousin. And then when I became a sophomore, he became a senior. So, and he still got that. He even got more recognition as a senior. And even in the household, with me living with him as a cousin and his pops being my uncle, I had to fall in line. However they have that, they did their thing. You know, I had to follow. You know, even if it was different from living with my mom. You know, and I remember I used to compare the two and like, damn man, they strict as hell over here. You know, you gotta go bike riding every week. You know, you gotta eat lunch at a certain time. Well, you know, that was at school, but dinner at a certain time. You gotta be in bed by 10 o'clock. You know, um, and which was with my mom, she didn't really care about. As long as we went to school, she didn't really care about that other stuff. She wasn't calculated with time and strict with time. As long as we, you know, that that you know, home before the street lights come on, or she you know, she would give a particular, like, yeah, I'm you know, be home by then. I'm gonna be cooking dinner, whatever. And then, but as the time went on, you know, that all faded away. It was just like more freedom with my mom, you know. But I you know, I've seen, I've got to witness the strict hand of my father and my pops, his brother. You know, being military, and then my auntie, she was even in the military. I had to witness a strict hand from her. So I realized that, damn, man, at a comparison of the two, I was like, shit. But but that hard discipline made me structured. But the living with my mom's is kind of like as a crutch. It hurt me. So even in my later years, I decided, as a teenager, I decided to move with my pops also, because that was better than living with my moms that didn't have no strict, uh, no strict rules in the household. All she'd do is like, yeah, clean up the house and all that, but it wasn't strict like militant type of strict. Wherein when my father and my mother, my father and my auntie and my and that's crazy because the auntie I'm talking about is my mother's sister. She just went on to the military, so uh, um, a lot of her couple of sisters that was which is my auntie on the mother's side. Um, it was four of them, and my mother and one of the sisters did kind of they got into the stuff and bad kind of lives. So and the other two sisters they branched out and they moved out of the state and so forth. So I kind of like, man, damn. Uh, I'd rather be with a strict hand. I'd rather go with my pops, go with my uncle. Even though they whip my ass. So if you ain't, it's gonna be harder for people that grow up in this world when they ain't never got their ass whooped as children, because they're gonna, most likely end up being spoiled and shit, disrespecting their parents and all that, biting back, always got something to say and shit, you know. So there's a lot of camps and there's a lot of individuals out there like that follow that kind of that have that kind of character about themselves. Uh, and then let me see. And then it says senior or for older or more experienced people. Now, in this world, a senior, like in high school, you say, well, you want to be a senior because you're still young. You're about like 18. But, outside of high school, when you start to really grow up into the world, people consider seniors as, old man, get out the way, you know, or he's old, don't he don't know what he's talking about, or like they want to have so much fun that you know if they see any kind of teaching structure of an older man, they be like, yeah, I heard that all before. I ain't got time. Let's hit the courts. Let's get these females. So you know that's how America raised a lot of the young ones. You know what I'm saying? And even though I didn't grow up with my pops, I was fortunate to hear his voice a lot of times or live with him every so often, and then his side of the family, which was more strict, but they were more about education. But they'll whoop your ass, and they were strict. So I got a real good taste of that. You know what I'm saying? Because my pops would always pick me up and like, yeah, I got to get you out of there. Your mom's ain't shit, pretty much. On this, on that, in the streets and all that. So, but I had to learn. Now I'm older and I used to be against my pops a lot till I got older and I realized, damn, my pops was actually like saying something right. Uh, but sometimes you could be too strict, you know. Um, you could be too strict, man. But the Most High said, and treat elders as a father, man. And all the bashing against GMS, and apostles are they have been elders. They have grown into the apostles, but they are from the school of One West, which where's the truth started. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these young ass ninjas wouldn't be shit without the truth coming from One West. You know what I'm saying? And they don't give that. They have no credit for that. You know. And you don't have to worship, man. You don't have to big man up to this point to where you're always in his face, about face and with your shoes polished and your 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 uniform creased up, but there is a respect there. You know, it says, and I'm gonna get that word elder too. Now you have such things as elders, bishops, and elder apostles and bishops. But if these young ninjas are coming from a place where they was always free and always doing anything they want to do, no correction, no rebuke, then they fall into an orderly system, bodiless system with rebuke. They're gonna be emotional about it. Let me see. And, as fathers, let me see if I can read. So even with that demon ass ninja that mocked Israelites, you know, Drewski, he's probably one of those dudes that grew up, without no correction, without no form of discipline. That's why a lot of these celebrity uh, men are wild boys, man. That's why they can do some of the grotesque BS that they do, sold out, because they ain't never had nobody tell them, hey, they ain't the right thing to do. Don't do that. That's some BS, or some form, strict form of that, to where you be like, damn, I gotta keep my head straight. What it says. And see, my pops, I'll always talk. See, a point you grow up and you do talk to your father as a man, but you still respect your father as his son. And a lot of Jakes don't know how to do that. But when I talk to my father, I talk to him in a way like, yeah, well, what about this, pops? Like and he think it's I'm rebellion, but I'm just because I never had an opinion with him. I never had a word with him. It was just like, shut your mouth and do what I say. But being in the truth and us coming to a point where, because there's a lot of times before the truth, a lot of times growing up, I didn't say shit to my pops, man, and I wanted to, but I had to respect him. But when I came into the truth, I knew knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I learned from the apostles, the elders, and I had kind of something under my belt to where I at least made a statement about something um, that I knew wasn't right about what he believed. So it wasn't. I didn't see that as rebellion. I just saw that as like, well, what about this pop making a suggestion, or just stating the facts because he wanted to know what I believed. And I told him, he's like, oh no, and then I was like, no, that's not right. You don't understand, pops. But he took it as like I'm talking shit. But sometimes these young ninjas do be talking shit, man. They always, especially within the circle, they always got something to say back over your words and shit, man. Uh, Let me see. Yeah, I can't even find it. It's written a certain way. Uh, Treat your elders as your fathers. Let me see if I can pull that up. It says 1 Timothy 5 and rebuke not an elder, 5 and 1, and treat him as a father, and that goes along with not saying but and shit like that and not saying no bite back at all, shutting your mouth. That's what that means, because that's what I did with my father. I mean, I'm looking at examining myself. I'm like, yeah, you know, as a kid, I had to shut my mouth. I didn't speak nothing against him. I was like, all right, yeah, I understand. I understand. Yep, yep. You know, uh, so um, it says, and the younger men as brethren. You know, it says the elder women as mothers. See, so you still got to respect your mother in a way to where she's your mother, but it's more talking about in its truth. And then you got a lot of ninja females in the so-called in the truth that disrespect their mother that's in the truth and think they equal because they still live according to this Edomite system, this American way. And the Most High will take your ass out, whether you're a man or a woman, disrespecting the order. It says with all purity, you know. So you got a lot of fast ass, young ass women too disrespecting their mothers. Most High destroy your asses too. He gets rid of women too. He it talks about how the destruction is coming to women too. You think a lot of these women think they got a favor with the Most High because they women, like they've built the world with their hands and shit, man. You getting touched too. You damn disobedient. It tells you that in the last days they should be disobedient to parents, man. Let me get that scripture. It says Romans 1:30, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, despising the truth, despising order, haters of God. Most High is building an order to with his church. Proud boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, man. So even in the truth, we can't treat our parents like even though they gotta, they don't understand. We still gotta respect them as parents. You can't treat them like little kids. But if you kind of explain it to them, the truth that they might try to pull out of you, of course you like, well, and then you get to the point where it seems like an argument where you just don't understand, pops. Like I see, but I know you still my pops. I still respect you. And same thing with your mother. Uh, it says, and that's actually in the commandments, honor your mother and father. Spelled Ho. And, and it's like a judge. When you in court, you don't say shit, man. You don't speak unless the judge speaks, and then you address him as your honor. So when you before your parents, you really as if you're before a court. You know what I'm saying? In a way, but our parents don't have the truth, of course. So of course you do your best ability, but you know, you still honor them, man. It says Exodus 20 and 12. Can't be talking no shit like a little kid, a rebellious little kid, man. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. And I think, and it even says honor your wife as a weaker vessel, man. you don't honor your wife as a weaker vessel and she's submissive and doing everything you say, and you don't have that in honor in the spirit of Yahweh Yahushai, Most High has set an adversary against you, man. It even reiterates that in the New Testament. It says, let me get it right quick. Yeah, Ephesians 6:2. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment with promise. So the New Testament is relating to the Old Testament. Like these New Old Testament only Israelites, they bugged out because it's saying the same thing. It's reiterating that. Let me go to the whole chapter right quick. For Ephesians 6:1, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And it talks about us walking with wisdom among them that are without. And you really can't get tied up into these emotions of these women. Even your mother, you let your mother be a mother. Like, yeah, that's I already know. I know, moms. Okay, I get it. Cause she's a woman, man. You can't get caught up with a woman says. You can't even with your wife get caught up in an argument and shit and become like her and shit. You supposed to be the one that with logic and understanding wisdom. You like, hey, look, I know what I'm talking about. Just what I'm saying. I'm talking, when you with your wife or something like that. But mother is a little different. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee and thou mayest live long on the earth. So the commandments were still being taught, exercised, you know. Uh, so I don't know what these Israelites talking about, bugging out, talking about the New Testament don't apply to us. Yeah, those are bug outs, man. And those are the same ones that don't respect the apostles and elders. And just coming in the truth and acting like you've been here for years, man. You know? It's like a lot of people too, they can read a lot of words and a lot of scriptures and remember. But if you don't have no experience, then you still like a little baby. Experience wisdom come with experience. Eldership comes with experience, man. A lot of people like it with basketball. You could play like a motherfucker by yourself, but then when you go into the court and you in the light and you facing all the opposite team, and you find out they ballers and they on a level you be like, damn, I'm not so good as I thought I was. You know. Uh, and the apostles and elders and bishops, they have experience, man. Let me look up that word experience, and it's actually in the scriptures. And that's what we give our parents honor to, because they at least have experience, even though they are not in the truth, or they may not be in the truth. They don't recognize the truth or regard it. But as our parents, they still have experience to where they seen some things probably in us that we didn't see in ourselves, especially growing up. Like, you always used to do this. Oh shit, that's why I do this. Because a lot of us still kind of got similar things that we did when we were in the world. Not completely, maybe just an inkling of those things, and they were like, damn, that's why I'm, you know, uh, if your parents say, yeah, you was always a hothead when you were a little kid, running around and had a lot of energy, and sometimes you be like, yeah, I'm still like that. But the only difference is you got the truth, which is, a major difference, of course. But still, you got those attributes. It says, you know, I have learned experience of the Lord. Therefore, I have learned by experience. Genesis 30 and 27. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And that's the thing too. Apostle, elders, bishop, they have learned by experience too, even with these breakdowns and the way that they teach, you know. Experience. Let me see what that says. Nahash. I'm getting closed out, man.
Strong's H 5172. Nahash. Nahash.
Nahash in Hebrew. To practice divination and not like that, you know, um, divination of witches and all that. To observe signs. See, we supposed to observe, you know, but not, you know, to obey those signs as if it's some kind of, you know, according to witchcraft, according to, you know, out of the way of the truth. Like, you know, it says, you know, the Jews seek a sign, they're going to only get the sign of Jonas. So there are signs shown, you know, there are signs given. Learn by experience, diligently observe, practice for telling, take as an omen, a practice to observe signs or omens. So, for a better word, uh, experience to you become an expert in what you've given in study of the law, study of the practice of rehearsing the righteous acts. You're more seasoned. Like I said, that's what elderly mean. Elder mean you're more experienced and seasoned. Uh, um, Trials and tribulation that you've learned from knowing what it means. You know, suffering. You know, and diligently observe. Well, I can also get right quick experience synonyms. So you can even have a 12-year-old that knows a lot, and you know he meets a young girl, you know, and he knows how to communicate. You know, they go out to functions with his parents and all that, but he still is not old enough to, you know, handle a financial situation or a bank account or what have you, or owning a house or even driving. You know, all those things that a man that you experience, you know, as you grow into becoming a man. So, you know, you're gonna have to have support. You can't be an individual in this world without support. Somebody has to give you the food. Somebody has to give you the job. Somebody has to give you, you know, your house and all that. You're not gonna be a man that goes out there and build your own house and shit. A lot of men, most men don't know how to build houses from the ground up. You know, um, to where everything is in place and everything is substantial. Everything is what do you call it? Built. You know, for for the long haul. You know, to where your house is standing, have lights, electricity, heat. You know, those type of things. It'll take that's why you have several men working on the house, hired to work on the house to build it. So, you know, we talked about the lone wolf spirit. We talked about, like, yeah, you know, Israelites leaving the truth Like I got it. You know what I'm saying? I know what the Most High want for me. I don't have to have no brotherhood, no, camp, whatever. I could do this by myself. Experience synonym. I'll close out with this. So you can have all the knowledge you want, and you can even have the breakdowns, which they're not really breaking down things right. But you don't have no experience. It says if involvement in contact experience. Yeah, basically.